leave a seat open here for the main event, guys. All right, everybody. Hello. Thank you for waiting. The attendance tonight was 16,089 people. The gate was 4.1 million. We shattered the record here, which was set by the Rolling Stones. Bonuses tonight were $65,000. Sub of the night is Riddle. KO of the night is Jimmo. And fight of the night is, they wrote it wrong here, Caraway versus Gagnon. Yes! So all those guys won $65,000. They absolutely deserve it. Congratulations to the winners. Who's got the first question?
Dana, obviously a difficult night for you, I'm sure. Can you just give us your thoughts on the evening overall?
Well, before I get too negative, I think that the undercard was awesome. These guys blew it out of the water. You know, I come into a market like this where I said this the other day, and it's true. You know, we make money. This company makes money. You know, I like breaking records. We broke the gate record here tonight, and I'm embarrassed by it. Now, I was excited when I heard, and now I'm embarrassed. The undercard delivered. They were awesome. The main card did not. And I don't think that the Faber Barao fight deserved the boos that I got. You're talking two of the best guys in the world in a 5-round title fight. It was very technical. Everybody knows how good Uriah Faber is, and Barao dominated him tonight. You know, if the undercard wasn't as shitty as it was, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Is there anything you can point to? I mean, it just seems like everybody's looking for answers as to what happened, what went wrong. Is there anything that you can point to?
I was sitting in the arena tonight, and I think there were a lot of things that went wrong. I felt like I was at UFC 33 again, you know? And I think that Czech Congo and Jordan pushed against the fence for 3 rounds, and I think that the ref let them do it. I mean, when you see these guys that are in this is the ultimate clinching championship. It's the fighting championship. And when you see 2 guys just clinching for 3 rounds, and then in the 3rd round, they clinched for an entire 5 minutes. And this idiot standing around looking at them. As a referee, your job is to enforce the rules and make sure that these guys fight. And if they're not fighting, you break them up and you make them fight. And we're talking about guys that are experienced. Experienced guys that have done enough fights by now. Yves Levine was horrendous. Horrendous tonight. The officiating in this sport doesn't change, and I'm not just talking this sport, I'm talking combat sports in general. These guys are going to kill it. Kill it. And not to take anything from Czech Congo and Jordan, who throw 1 punch and then clinch against the fence for 3 full rounds. So I think a lot of things.
And I guess last question, I know earlier in the week you teased that you'd have some big fights at 185 pounds. With the way things played out, have plans changed? What are the plans? Yeah, well, I think you look at a guy like Lombard, you know, comes in on a 25-fight win streak, you know, and the fight was horrible. But if you look at a guy like Bosch is this underdog who came out of nowhere, beat Yushin Okami, and then, you know, people aren't going to be trying to reorder the fight to watch that one, but he won the fight again tonight. He beat a guy on a 25-fight win streak, and he beat one of the best 185-pounders in the world now for a long time. So, again, the positive out of the negative. Bosch won the fight. So do you have another fight lined up for him already?
No. And I think he's got a broken foot right now anyway, which is, no, of course. Of course he does. Right? It would be weird if he didn't. Waiting for Barao. He's probably got 2 broken hands and you know, it's the way it's been lately. No more questions? That would be great. I will fly back to Las Vegas right now.
Sorry, we'll delay it a little bit. Ron Kruk, Inside MMA. Question for Tim Bosch. Tim, talk about your game plan coming in and just your overall thoughts about the fight.
The game plan was to not stand in Hector's power range, and I wanted to use my kicks to keep him off me, and that's what I was doing. And then early in the 2nd round, I blew up my foot, which made the rest of the fight a little bit more uncomfortable than I had anticipated. But I was able to keep throwing those kicks and keep him at distance, and he didn't land the big shots that he wanted to. And I was able to frustrate him and just not let him dictate the range, and that was the game plan coming into this fight. I wanted to get some more takedowns going and work the ground game, but Hector was like running into a brick wall, getting to his legs, so it proved more difficult than I had thought.
As Dana said, you've now knocked off Okami and now Hector Lombard. Do you feel that you're next for a title shot?
The vibe in the room says no. But I'm ready for whoever. I train hard enough, and if I keep beating enough people, I'll get that title shot, and I'll prove what I need to do. I know I can do it. As soon as this foot heals up and I can get back to training, I'm going to grind it out. I'll do whatever it takes to get there.
And I wasn't coming in tonight to say, oh, this guy is going to fight Anderson Silva. There's going to be some matchups in the 185-pound division that will decide who will fight him. And, you know, after beating Okami and Lombard now, I mean, this guy has put himself in a very, very good position.
Dana, can you talk a little bit more about Hector's performance? Was it a performance that you were like sickened by, or did you think that it was just a few different things he could have done? What was your thoughts as you were watching the fight?
Well, it wasn't the fight that I expected at all. I mean, it wasn't the fight that I expected, and I don't know if I was sickened by it. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. You know, whether it was Bosch or Lombard winning, I was expecting a real war. You know, I thought this thing was going to be a war. You know, as the card was going on, I said, oh, God, thank God Bosch and Lombard are coming out right now, because this is going to save the show. And then when that one was over, I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Sometimes you give guys passes as far as the UFC jitters. Did you think that maybe that
Oh, there's no doubt
was
that's
part
real.
of
I
it?
said that before the fight. I mean, it's absolutely 100% real. It is. We've seen it. You've seen it. I've seen it. The fans have seen it many times. But I have this partnership with the fighters. This is a partnership. The UFC hasn't become as big as it is and as, you know, fun and as exciting worldwide as it is because I walk around and talk a lot and say this and say that. We go out and we put together the best fights that we can possibly put together. And every time we go into a city, no matter where in the world it is, these guys deliver. Once it's Saturday night and everything starts to roll, everything is out of my hands other than, you know, doing the production and all the things that we do. It's these guys. Then they step in and they take over and they deliver. And, you know, and we have these conversations. I mean, we have these conversations and you know, we're all on the same page. We know what we do and we know what it is. And tonight, and we always do. If you look, we're UFC 149. We can count on one hand how many shows have actually sucked. And tonight is one more finger on the hand.
This might be nothing, but I saw Joe Rogan actually come and talk to you after the fight, and I haven't really seen him do that very often.
Yeah.
Was it just an opinion on the fight, or was it something that was supposed to happen after the fight and he wasn't sure what to do next? Or
No, he was saying the same thing that me and everybody else was saying. Wow, what happened tonight? Not what we expected. You know, not what we expected.
And I just had one more quick question about why didn't Tim Bosch get interviewed in the pay-per-view? That seemed like an obvious opportunity to interview the guy, and it just kind of
Because much like UFC 33, the position we were in, we were running out of time. All these fights were going to decisions, and we were running out of time. So we have to, whenever you see us cutting interviews, it's because we're sweating running past the pay-per-view window.
Dana Moro-Ranello with the Score. Thank you very much. I know this is an aberration. This doesn't happen often. But when you say, you say it's not the ultimate clinching championship, it's the ultimate fighting championship, what do you think you have to do then, or tell the fight, like the fight, it's up to them. But when it doesn't happen, do you get a chance to go back and say to the next two fights or whatever, hey, this is a show, it's a business, we're here to entertain. Do you send messages to the rest of the card, or is it just up to them?
Friday night after the weigh-in, leading up to the fight, the week of the fight, these guys have PR that they have to do. They have a lot of stuff that they have to do. Then they start cutting weight, and then they show up to the weigh-ins. When the weigh-ins are over, I walk into a room, they're all in there, and we talk. We have a conversation, and then I don't bother them again until the fight is over. There's no reason for me to run up to a fighter who's got a ton of pressure on him and tell him, hey, I need you. They already know what they need to do. They know what's going on. I don't ever mess with them after the weigh-ins. I don't ever.
Okay, thank you.
Dana, just a quick question. You had 16,000 fans telling you their opinion tonight. I know I was watching you on Twitter.
I don't know if 16,000 of them were actually saying that, but listen, I could tell you this: if you're booing during the Faber Barao fight, you're not a fan of MMA. You
Sure.
came here to see some crazy, old UFC. That was a good fight. It was a technical, good fight between two of the best in the world. So if you were booing that fight, you came here to see lions in the cage or something. I don't know what guy versus the dragon or something.
It's usual in Calgary for us to see lions in a cage, I guess. Yeah. My question to you is kind of the sentiment over Twitter. I was actually watching your Twitter feed, and you were getting a little bit of it too, but people are asking for refunds. But one of the questions that's coming out is, does the reaction that you got tonight change your mind about possibly coming back to Calgary?
No. This has been, do you know how many people, I've been in this city since Wednesday, interacted with tons of fans. You know how many people have asked me for the money back since I've been here? 0. Nobody's asked me for my money back. Nobody's asked, that's a bunch of internet bullshit. Not one person has walked up to me and said, I don't want to go to this thing. I want my money back. Nobody.
Are you coming back?
Yeah, we'll be back. Listen, we're going to have bad fights. I'm not happy that we had a bad fight tonight. It's not Calgary's problem. It's me and my boys.
My final question, based on the card that we saw, entertaining for the most part, it wasn't the card that you promised Flame Central a couple months ago. You said you had big things lined up.
And I did.
I know it was out of your control. Injuries nobody can control.
Just to reiterate on that too, when we announced the card, when I was standing here and did the first press conference here, we announced Jose Aldo. That's what we announced. And then that was when tickets went on sale. Tickets went on sale the next day. There wasn't even a card built. And then we built a card that people were happy about. And every guy got injured. I mean, it is what it is. So what did we do? We built another card, a great card with talented guys.
One more.
That
sure.
just, and I can't say they didn't deliver because half the card did. The prelim guys, you got to, that when this thing started taking off, this is like, damn, this card is great. These fights have been phenomenal.
One more. I apologize. The Nick Ring Court McGee fight. How did you see it?
What's that?
How did you see the score on the Nick Ring Court McGee fight?
I had Court McGee winning that fight. I'm not a judge, though.
Close?
Huh?
Close or
No.
unanimous?
That last round could have been a 10-8.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is for Ryan and Matt up there. You guys had two of the more memorable finishes on the card. Do you guys just want to both talk about the endings of your fights?
Yeah, and just before he starts talking, too, I want to say, SportsCenter from the U.S. called and wanted his knockout before the fight. So, this card was, it was going in the right direction. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So sorry. I knew if I went hard and heavy at him, I was going to come on top, and I didn't expect it to happen that fast, obviously. But I just closed my eyes, I punched, and I guess I got lucky. Is that good enough?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, and me, I just go out there to throw bombs and put on a show and do what I do best. And I just saw, an arm triangle from the standing position, and I just threw him on his head, choked him out, and that's I'm not here to win by points. I'm not here to grind. I'm here to finish people. I'm here to choke you. I'm here to knock you out, and I'm here to finish. And honestly, that's how everybody should fight, and the card would have been very exciting.
Dana, to your right, you touched on Barao's performance. Faber, still one of the best in the world, and Barao, he dominated that fight. Give me your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I thought he looked great. Like I said, if you're booing that fight, you're not a fan of mixed martial arts. Guys just aren't going to run in and just start, swinging crazy and trying to knock each other out. These are two of the best in the world, and I thought that I liked that fight. It was a tactical, good fight.
What did you think, Barao in particular?
Barao looked like a beast, man. Barao dominated one of the best guys, ever in that weight division of mixed martial arts.
Ryan? What was going through your head after you landed that punch? Was there... I don't know. Just take me through those immediate seconds afterwards.
Yeah. So when I hit him with that, I saw him go pretty limp and fall down, and I suspected he was out, but you know, this is a fight, and you don't ever stop until kind of the referee kind of says so. So I got on top of him. I popped him just lightly. I was 100% sure he was pretty comatose. So and afterwards, it was a long time coming. You know, I've been fighting since 2007, 5-6 years. So I went from being one of the most boring fighters in the world. I think in the last eight of my fights have been decision to you know, getting the fastest knockout. So I don't know. That's all right, I guess.
Dana, is there any official ruling as to where he stands in the?
Yeah, we got to check that out. We got to watch it. One of the problems is that it probably would have been the fastest knockout in UFC history, but the ref was far away from the action, and it took him so long to get there that it's actually stopped when the ref touches and stops the fight. You know, so if the ref was in position, and I'm not smashing him for that. I mean, he just wasn't there. He didn't get there fast enough. But the ref was in position, he probably would have got the fastest knockout.
And not to harp on the whole middleweight thing, but when now it sounds like you're not ready to announce things. When do you think you will be ready?
In the next couple days.
Okay.
Yeah, in the next couple days we'll get it figured out and who's going to fight who next and what's going to happen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Over here, Ryan, Dave Stanford from MMA Canada. You faced a lot of criticism in the past over your fighting style. How far do you think your performance tonight went to silencing those critics?
Well, I am going to read the internet and read the underground forums, and I'm sure people will still hate, but that's perfectly all right. I got a nice cushy check to keep me happy.
And for Brian, question during your fight. It looked like you were in danger at some point. How close were you to being finished? And can you also tell us what it means to you to get this fight of the night tonight?
Man, it means everything to get the fight of the night. That's huge. I'm just so thankful that I won that. And as far as being close to finish, I didn't feel close at all. Fortunately for me, I have a great chin. If you watch The Ultimate Fighter, you see with the Diego fight, I can take some good punches. I didn't really feel in danger at all. The game plan was to kind of let him, weather the storm, let him come out strong, and wear him down and get the finish. And I kind of felt a little lackadaisical. I kind of waited around a little bit too much, but I finished people. That was my 10th or 11th RNC professional win. So that's what I do. I finish people, and I'm excited to get the finish.
Sorry. Hi, Dana. Jose with Sun Media. I guess there are a lot of frustrated fans, obviously, as you've mentioned. What do you tell a fan that's paid $700 for a pretty good seat to watch that fight?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If you go to a baseball game and the game sucks, pissed at the Yankees?
Just a question. And I guess the other one is, do you feel...
I mean, I'm bummed out about it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm pretty honest about, I'm not out here going, that was the greatest show you've ever seen. It wasn't. But, when you buy tickets, the thing is that when we come into a market like this, we break the record and we do the kind of gate that we did because people believe in us. People believe in the UFC, and that when we come to town, we're going to bring you the best fights possible, and then our guys go out and they deliver. Like I said, this is a partnership between us and the fighters, and we do our part, and they always do theirs. Unfortunately, this thing, I was so excited to stick this one up everybody's ass that said this card sucked, and we didn't, so.
Fair enough. Do you feel then, I guess, an obligation that next time, maybe not obligation,
I always feel an obligation. I always feel an obligation.
When you come back to Calgary.
This is my job. This is what I do.
Yeah.
I roll into 5, 6, 7 cities and don't perform. Let me tell you what, we're the fastest growing sport in the world. Believe me, we'll start going the other way real quick. When you don't deliver, that's what happens. Go out and buy a shitty car and the thing keeps breaking down. You don't sell too many more cars to people.
But I guess you can tell Calgary fans, I guess, today that next time you come by here, you did get dogged on the card. Not that the card wasn't all that bad. And you're right, there wasn't a performance at the end. But that there will be big names, and it will stick with big names, and you'll be able to bring in something bigger here. I guess, do you feel a debt to them because of what happened here tonight?
Yeah, well, we brought big names, and everybody got injured. You know what I mean? It's not like we didn't. And Uriah Faber's been in the sport for a long time. He's one of the best ever. Barao has been on a tear. And you know, we brought a good card for a card that would have been canceled. We brought a great card, and it just didn't happen tonight. Like I told you, if you're booing the Faber Barao fight, you're not a fan of mixed martial arts. You don't get it. You're here to see some crazy shit or something. I don't know.
I agree. And I
But
guess
my answer to your question is I always feel an obligation. Believe me, nobody takes this stuff harder than I do. You know, you don't know how bad I didn't want to get out of my chair and walk through the crowd tonight. You know, this isn't what we do, ever. Like I said, you can count on one hand in 11 years how many shows have sucked.
if I can just have a quick follow-up, Uriah, what's it like for you when you are in what is a very decent fight and you're hearing some boos?
You know, you never want to hear boos, but you're more concerned with the guy that's trying to take your head off at the time, and broken ribs and sore legs and all that kind of stuff. So it's unfortunate. I don't ever want to be in a fight where people are booing, but you know, just had to do my best out there tonight, and you know, Barao fought a smart fight. He was really good with his length. He was able to keep me at bay and fight a smart fight. I would have liked to got crazy in there a little bit, but it probably wouldn't have been the smartest thing, you know, like jump around like a wild man and do something stupid. But was trying to punch him in the face and, you know, didn't get it done.
This question's for Uriah and for Dana. You've been a top contender in multiple divisions for a long time now. After being unsuccessful to win the belt tonight, where do you see yourself going from here? And same question to Dana, where do you see Uriah going?
For me, I don't know. I'm basically, you know, I fought a guy who's on a huge win streak, you know, the biggest win streak in active MMA right now, which is impressive, and wasn't able to get it done. You know, I had a close fight with Dominic, who's considered the champ right now as well, and so I'm right there. It's just a matter of continuing to heal up and then reassess how I want to approach this thing. You know, what I need to do, you know, to make it to where I'm going to win the belt, or, you know, decide what I want to do from there. So I'm going to go home, relax, talk to these guys, and see what the deal is.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. We'll regroup, and like he said, we'll talk and we'll figure out what's next.
Hey, Dana, Darcy McBride from Team Radio Vancouver. A couple of quick things. First of all, Nick Ring, the whole situation that happened here in Calgary with him, you know, breaking up the scuffle there. Maybe touch on what you guys did tonight, bringing the lady in. You were supposed to, I guess, intending to bring her and her boyfriend to the show. For people that don't know, maybe touch on that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, we invited them to the show. I never met them. I didn't meet them tonight. I hope they had a good time. I hope they enjoyed the fights.
With Hector, obviously, and this is not to take anything away from Tim Boach, he's on a tear. Everybody knows and sees that, and full credit to Tim for, you know, doing his job tonight. Has that asset lost its marketability a fair amount after this whole big win streak outside the UFC? Comes in, loses. Where do you kind of go, or is it too early to know?
It's the unfortunate thing about hype. When there's a lot of hype behind you and you don't live up to the hype, it goes away real quick.
Canadians made a pretty good showing tonight. Obviously, this isn't the overall
great
game
showing.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
Do you maybe look when you do the shows in Canada to have a couple more of those guys featured on the main card, knowing that they're coming to put it all on the line? Not to again take anything away from the main card guys tonight, but you know, a fight like Ryan Jimmo's or a fight like Antonio Carvalho's on that main card.
Well, here's the thing: when you're on the undercard, you know, you want to deliver and you want to get on the main card next time, and you know. We'll see what happens. We'll see where they sit. It's all about where people sit. And the 185-pound fight tonight was a very important fight, and obviously the main event was important. Two heavyweights that should have been exciting. You know, they laid against the fence, and the ref allowed it.
That there you consider to be the referee's discretion.
I think
to break
all
that
three
up
of them.
100%.
I think all three of them are to blame in that fight. Laying against. Czech Congo would throw one punch and clinch and push him into the fence.
That's not Czech Congo.
It's not Czech Congo. It's not how he fights.
A couple things for the guys. Oh, sorry, Dana. For the guys up on the table. First of all, Ryan Jimmo, Mark Hominick, Tim Hague, and Jonathan Goulet on the wrong end of record knockouts in the UFC. How good does it feel to be a Canadian and putting us on the right end of one?
Feels very good.
That robot was seen by a lot of people. There was a lot of action on Twitter. Any idea about changing the name from The Big Deal to Ryan the Robot Jimmo?
That's something I'll have to contemplate. Yeah.
All right, there you go. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the only other thing I got for anybody up there, Matt Riddle, quite the showing tonight. Come out, do the job. What kind of taking things after Scooby-Doo? A little bit of the Shaggy look going on. Is that a marketing scheme we're going to see coming up, or is that just Matt Riddle in the flesh?
This is me. You know, I took the fight on 3 weeks' notice. I was just hanging out, taking care of my kids, doing my thing, and you know, Joe Silva called me up and was like, "You want to fight in 3 weeks on the main card?" And I could never pass up an opportunity like that, so I pounced as soon as I could. And you know, I decided not to get a haircut, so that's all.
Before I give it up to Dana, one more thing, kind of a joking sense. That a couple of altercations in the crowd during the last fight got the crowd kind of into it. Any interest in signing either of the combatants?
Yeah. No, you know what? That's another thing is that one of the things that I'm proud of, too, is that every time we go into an arena somewhere, the crowd is always great. But when you get into it, the crowd was dying for something to happen during the main card. I felt it. I tell you, I felt like it was UFC 33 over again. The crowd was just dying for anything to happen. And when it didn't, unfortunately, when you've been sitting around drinking beers for 6-7 hours, this is what happens. And it's not, you know, I don't think it's funny, and I'm sorry that happened.
Okay, I think it's me, Dana. You know, there's a lot of talk lately. There's too many UFC events. That's why guys are getting hurt, and it's hard to keep making revenue and putting on great shows. There's just too many events. So I'm just curious if tonight gave you any pause or made you think a little bit about that topic at all, or you know, just how you feel about that.
I think everybody thinks they're a genius and have all the answers. We've built this thing for 11 years. The day the internet starts telling me what's wrong and what's this and that, I might as well wrap it up.
You know, after the fight, Matt Riddle said he wouldn't mind a fight with Dan Hardy. What do you think of that?
Interesting, yeah. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Come
And
on,
then-
Dana.
Just in general question for Renan. Como sente sobre sua vitória e seu oponente, Uriah Faber? How do you feel about your victory and your opponent, Uriah?
Como você se sente da vitória e do seu oponente, Uriah?
Estou muito feliz, né? Que isso foi um sonho que, graças a Deus, consegui realizar hoje. Faber é um grande atleta, uma grande pessoa aí. E acho que foi isso. Quero agradecer a ele por ter pedido essa luta também, que eu pudesse enfrentá-lo. E é isso. Estou muito feliz.
I'm very happy. Faber is a great athlete, is a great human being. Now I want to thank him for inviting me, for speaking out my name to fight against him. And in addition to that, I'm just very, very happy.
For Renan also, could you talk basically what the game plan was coming in and how the fight played out versus his expectations?
Ele queria saber como é que foi a estratégia e como ela se desenvolveu durante a luta.
A estratégia era sempre manter a distância ali e procurar não entrar muito no raio de ação, que a mão direita do Faber é perigosa. Daí, meu professor Dedé Pernendeiro e o professor Jair Lourenço já tinham falado isso. E eu ficasse na minha distância ali, que eu era mais alto, envergadura maior. E, graças a Deus, eu consegui seguir a estratégia e sair com a vitória mais uma vez.
My strategy was to keep distance because he has a very strong right hand, and I had a reach advantage. So if I could keep my reach advantage and hit him and get out, it would be better to me. So that was the strategy designed by André Pederneiras and Jair Lourenço, both of my coaches.
And also, obviously, this was a huge moment for him, but there were some boos at the end, and the crowd was a little bit unhappy. I'm curious if that bothered him all, if that affects him, how it made him feel to have the boos come in during that moment.
Ele sabe que esse é um grande momento para você, mas houveram vaias no final. O que você achou das vaias? Como é que você se sentiu? Como é que você está se sentindo?
Eu fiquei meio assim, né? Mas da próxima vez eu vou tentar dar mais de mim, tentar soltar mais do jogo. E é isso. Eu lutei para ser campeão. E foi isso que aconteceu.
Yes, I was a bit surprised, so that's a good message, because next time I try to play a different game, but I was trying to be the champ, so I had to be careful as well. But no, it was a lesson. Next time, I try to play a different game to see if I can please the crowd a bit more.
And one final one for Renan. How soon would he like to fight again? We know that Dominic Cruz is healing up, but how soon does he think he can fight again?
Ele sabe que o Dominic Cruz está se recuperando ainda, e quando você pensa em lutar de novo?
Eu estou aí à disposição, sou atleta do UFC e quando tiver que lutar, eu vou lutar.
I've been player of the UFC. You know, I fight whenever I'm asked to.
And just one quick one for Uriah, if I could. You talked about kind of reevaluating and seeing what's next. You've obviously reinvented yourself by moving to different divisions. Is 125 something you would even consider, or is that possible for you?
No way. I put on 18 pounds last night, and I would probably not be here if I was trying to make 25s. No, 135s is where I'll be.
Uriah, over to your right. Was Renan better than you thought he was coming into it?
I don't think so. I know that he was very tough. You know, I have kind of a difficult time with, you know, guys that are really good at defending takedowns and really good with leg kicks. You know, I knew that coming in. I was doing a pretty good job avoiding leg kicks. I took probably 3 to 4 solid ones, and they did damage themselves. But, you know, I just wasn't able to get off with my offense like I wanted to. I feel like I would have liked to seen some scrambles on the ground. I would have liked to landed some more combos. He was doing a really good job of keeping the distance, and I also was a little shooken up. He got me with a knee, I think in the first round or maybe the beginning of the second, and I think I have a broken rib. So I just wasn't as squirrely out there, I guess is a good term for it.
You came in. You were looking a little hobbly.
Yeah.
That's just which knee or what? You know what's going on there?
Like I said, I think my rib. It's like when you take a deep breath, it doesn't feel good. And then also I ate like 3 or 4 solid leg kicks, so and it'll be fine in a couple days. This is what I do for a living. It's not like anything that new, really. Unfortunately. Tough sport. Yeah.
Just a quick one for Tim. Did the way Hector fought, did that surprise you?
No, he came out trying to kill me. That's exactly what I expected. If I stood in front of him and let him hit me, I would have been being woken up by the doctor. So I knew I didn't want to allow him to do that. And my kicks, that was the whole game plan, is if I didn't keep him at bay with those kicks, he would have jumped in my face and taken my head off. So no surprise from Hector, and that was the game plan all along, just not allow him to get into his rhythm.
Joe?
Dana, take nothing away from Ryan Jimenez's exceptional knockout. 2 other guys on the prelims, Antonio Carvalho and Francisco Rivero, had phenomenal precision with their striking. Can you give us your thoughts on their performances?
Yeah, I agree. All the Canadians look great tonight. Gagnon, too, in his fight with Caraway. It was a great fight. Great fight. Fight of the night.
Question for Renan. Renan, could you, if you are matched up with Dominic Cruz next, talk about Cruz and how you feel you match up with him?
Se você lutar com o Dominic Cruz na próxima luta, qual seria a sua estratégia? Fale um pouco do Dominic Cruz. O que você acha dele?
O Dominic Cruz é grande campeão, né? Eu sei que ele é excelente atleta, mas eu ia treinar ao máximo para dar o meu melhor e poder mais uma vez sair com a vitória. A estratégia, acho que meus professores que iam montar aí para me fazer de tudo para sair com a vitória.
As I said before, Dominic Cruz is a great champ, he's a great athlete, but no, my strategy is going to be up to my coach to decide. And what I can say that I'm going to train as hard as I can, once again, just like I did for this fight, to have another win.
Question for Renan over here. It seems like it may take a little while for Dominic to come back since he had the surgery in June. And if you look at the consensus rankings, Michael McDonald is up there. Do you think that he would make sense for your first title defense if Dominic isn't ready to come back?
Ele falou que provavelmente o Dominic Cruz deve demorar tempo ainda e que talvez oponente para você seria o Michael McDonald. O que você acha disso?
Eu luto com quem você quiser, eu sou atleta do UFC e esse é meu trabalho, eu estou aí para lutar, não escolho adversário, o objetivo é lutar com os melhores e eu acho que é isso.
Again, it's not up to me to decide who I fight with, and it's up to the UFC. I fight anyone. I mean, an employee of the UFC, and I'm going to be ready to anyone.
Okay, and then just one for Brian over here. Brian, to your left. Obviously, you've had your ups and downs in your career. You know, you had a solid showing on the show. Now, since you dropped down to 135 and you look so good in your debut here, do you feel as though things are finally starting to come together for you in your career?
Yeah, this is the best mentally I've ever been. Just really focus on that. Just focus on being positive and having fun and not putting so much pressure on myself. I have a lot of performance anxiety. I hold myself high in my head, and sometimes I let that overcome me. And I'm just having fun again in the sport and letting it hang out and just not caring really so much what happens and just having fun.
All right, question for Tim. By the way, congratulations, bro.
Thank you very much.
Were you surprised that Hector didn't? Because you look at some of his other previous fights in that other promotion. He likes to come forward. He likes to bull rush guys. And were you surprised that he was kind of playing it a little bit tentative?
He was coming forward the whole fight, but like I said before, our game plan was to utilize those leg kicks to not allow him to explode into his that range where he's very powerful. And I only found myself there a couple times during the fight, and I knew I was in a lot of danger when I was in there. But overall, not that surprised. I thought I did a fairly good job of controlling the distance, and like he was moving forward quite a bit, and that's why I was concerned, and that's probably why the one judge saw it his way.
Yeah. Just one more question for Ryan. Back over, I noticed that you got a nice little smile by seeing yourself as the highlight of the night on Sports Center there. How cool was that? Just now, I saw you peeking.
I didn't do that. What? It was pretty awesome. So I've been waiting a long time for
I'm
this.
hoping you got that one PVR'd.
Oh, of course, I'm gonna watch it on YouTube a lot. Yeah. But
Thanks.
not when anyone's around, bro. Not when anyone's around.
Questions for Matt and Ryan. By the way, you can catch everything on sportsnet.ca. Matt, just if you can expand, why Dan Hardy?
I personally just think there's a lot of good matchups for me in the UFC, especially at the higher levels. And there's also a lot of bad matchups for me, that I don't want. But, whoever they give me is whoever they give me, and I'm down to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. And Dan Hardy, I just picked Dan Hardy. He's got a lot of hype behind him, and I know if I beat him, it'll put me on the map for sure. And, that's the only reason why. I have nothing personal against him, just like he has nothing personally against me. But a win over Dan Hardy, I guarantee everybody knows my name afterwards, Well, a win over somebody else might not give me the same recognition.
I heard Riddle hates English people.
I will be completely honest. When I fought in Manchester, England, they were very cruel to me. And one fan actually spit directly in my face, and he was lucky enough where it hit my mouth. And and then I had to go.
Wow, I was kidding.
And to be completely honest, I don't have anything against English people, but I wouldn't mind really, if something happens, I'll go over to London, whatever, and I'll put them down. The bottom line is, I don't care. It was my first international fight, and it was one I'll never forget. It was my first loss in the UFC, and ever since I've had that loss, I've never let anything like that happen to me again. All my other losses are usually fight of the night or a decision loss, and that's the only time I've ever been finished in my career, and I'll never let that happen again. I fight way too hard. I have too much pride, and to be disrespected like that, and that was the point. That was the part that really upset me. It just, because we're all everybody.
I'm like his therapist, man. Wow.
Everybody up here on this table is a world-class athlete, and we should be treated as a world-class athlete. And for some buttered-toothed Brit to spit in my mouth, that was some bull. And honestly, it's never been the same.
Wow. We are definitely making the Dan Hardy fight.
Thank you.
We'll take a couple more questions.
All right,
No more questions for Riddle, please.
Don't worry. So talking about teeth, Brian Caraway, I heard there was some issues with your teeth at the end of the fight.
Yeah, I've got new Invisalign braces, and my dentist said I'm supposed to leave each set in for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I asked him, I said, hey, if I can jam a new set in after a week, would that be all right? And he said, yeah, you could put it in, but it's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of pain. Your teeth are going to move drastically, so they're going to be kind of loose. And unfortunately, I forgot my bottom set of braces when I was fighting, and he caught me with the uppercut, and it broke one of my teeth and folded about 3 or 4 teeth inside my mouth, and I thought they were all gone, and he had me in a front headlock, and I grabbed my teeth and I pulled them back straight again, and I was like, oh shit. But it is what it is, and I got fight of the night, so I'll let him knock out 5 or 6 more teeth if I get another one.
One more question. Anybody got it? One more? You do? What do you got? Here we go.
Okay, so what do you do now? You head back to Las Vegas, and what are the first few things you're gonna do when you get back after tonight, being here in Calgary?
I go back tonight, and Monday we have a huge executive meeting, hammer out a few things that need to be done, and then we're back out on the road again.
So how quickly does it take for example, this experience, everything that you probably learned tonight, and just, the reaction from the fans, and just everything. I mean, even from my perspective, I've been to a few UFCs. I've never seen fans react that way, and it was a bit disheartening.
Yeah, it was crazy, but you know what? I've been doing this for 11 years. It'd be one thing if the fans were going crazy and I disagreed with them, like I did with the Faber Barao fight, right? But the fans were justified in some of their booing tonight. I don't disagree. This has been a weird card all the way around. And this whole fight has been crazy, but the guys know what they need to do. They know they need to deliver. Half of them did tonight, half of them didn't. It happens sometimes, Every once in a while it's going to happen. This is the unicorn for the UFC. It happens every once in a while, so what are we going to do? I don't know. I don't know where I pulled that out of. It's the first thing that popped in. I was going to say white elephant, and then unicorn. But you know what? I'll say this again. I've said it before. I love Canada. We always get treated so well here. Every city in this country is beautiful, and you guys are all very, very cool and good to us. All the media here treats us fantastic, and we really appreciate it. And I love coming up here, and I love bringing you great cards, and I love blowing the doors off places. We kind of did it this time, but not really. We'll be back, and we'll make it up to you, I promise. Thank you.